की की भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की सामवेद भक्त वृंद की कलियुग पावन तारण हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gaura श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्णा। सभी भक्तों का स्वागत है इस साप्ताहिक सत्संग कार्यक्रम में। एवरी फ्राइडे वी मीट special location Basant Panchami. Lord had performed Basant Ras during this day, so very important festival, and you know, the change of season which occurs because of the Basant Panchami. So the winter starts going off, and you know, as nice spring starts coming in. So it marks an important festival even in Krishna's time, so for us also. So we'll start off with our shlokas. Till now we have completed up to 69, right? 69 we have done. 70 and 71 will sing. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Narayanam Namaskritya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayam Udiraye. Tato Jayam Udiraye. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकीम् कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंद गोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। 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 Chapter 2, contents of Gita summarized, and Shlok 70. āpūryamāṇam acalam pratiṣṭhaṁ. āpūryamāṇam acalam pratiṣṭhaṁ. samudram praviśanti yadvat. samudram praviśanti yadvat. tadvat kāmāyam praviśanti sarve. tadvat kāmā praviśanti sarve. śāntim āpnoti न kāma-kāmī. śāntim āpnoti न kāma-kāmī. āpūryamāṇam acalam pratiṣṭhaṁ. āpūryamāṇam acalam pratiṣṭhaṁ. samudram praviśanti yadvat. samudram praviśanti yadvat. tadvat kāmāyam praviśanti sarve. tadvat kāmāyam sarve. śāntim āpnoti न kāma-kāmī. śāntim āpnoti न kāma-kāmī. āpūryamāṇam acalam pratiṣṭhaṁ. samudram praviśanti yadvat. tadvat kāmāyam praviśanti sarve. śāntim āpnoti न kāma-kāmī.
āpūryamāṇam acalam pratiṣṭhaṁ.
āpūryamāṇam acalam pratiṣṭhaṁ.
samudram praviśanti yadvat.
samudram praviśanti yadvat.
tadvat kāmāyam praviśanti sarve.
tadvat kāmāyam praviśanti sarve.
शान्तिम् āpnoti न kāma-kāmī
śāntim āpnoti न kāma-kāmī. Yes. Children, कोई लेंगे? āpūryamāṇam acalam pratiṣṭhaṁ samudram praviśanti yadvat tadvat kāmāyam praviśanti sarve śāntim āpnoti न kāma-kāmī āpūryamāṇam acala-pratiṣṭhaṁ samudram praviśanti yadvat tadvat kāmān praviśanti sarve śāntim āpnoti न kāma-kāmī. हरे āpūryamāṇam नित्य परिपूर्ण अचल प्रतिष्ठम दृढ़ता पूर्वक स्थित समुद्रम समुद्र में आप नदियां प्रविशंति प्रवेश करती है यद्वत जिस प्रकार तद्वत उसी प्रकार कामा इच्छाएं यम जिसमें प्रविशंति प्रवेश करती है सर्वे सभी स वह व्यक्ति शांतिम शांति āpnoti प्राप्त करता है न नहीं kāma-kāmī इच्छाओं को पूरा करने का इच्छुक अनुवाद तात्पर्य से भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद के द्वारा श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। पीछे पढ़िए। जो पुरुष समुद्र में निरंतर प्रवेश करती रहने वाली नदियों के समान इच्छाओं के निरंतर प्रवाह से विचलित नहीं होता और जो सदैव स्थिर रहता है वही शांति प्राप्त कर सकता है वह नहीं जो ऐसी इच्छाओं को तुष्ट करने की चेष्टा करता हो। तात्पर्य पढ़ेंगे कोई?
So the vast ocean is always filled with water. It is always, especially during the rainy season, being filled with much more water. But the ocean remains the same, steady. It is not agitated, nor does it cross beyond the limit of its brink. That is also true of a person fixed in Krishna consciousness. As long as one has the material body, the demands of the body for sense gratification will continue. The devotee, however, is not disturbed by such desire because of its fullness. A Krishna conscious man is not in need of anything because the Lord fulfills all his material necessities. Therefore, he is like the ocean, always full in himself. Desires may come to him like the waters of the rivers that flow into the ocean, but he is steady in his activities and is not even slightly disturbed by desires for sense gratification. That is the proof of a Krishna conscious man, one who has lost all inclinations for material sense gratification, although the desires are present. Because he remains satisfied in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, he can remain steady like the ocean and therefore enjoy full peace. Others, however, who want to fulfill desires even up to the limit of liberation, what to speak of material success, never attain peace. The fruitive workers, the salvationists, and also the yogis who are after mystic powers are all unhappy because of unfulfilled desires. But the person in Krishna consciousness is happy in the service of the Lord and he has no desires to be fulfilled. In fact, he does not even desire liberation from the so-called material bondage. The devotees of Krishna have no material desires and therefore they are in perfect peace.
Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalitam Sri Vishakhamvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Dvaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, very important shloka. So, till now we have completed up to 69. Last time we did, I think so, 68 and 69, right? So, we'll just have a short recap of what was 68 and 69. Because 70 is continuation of that. 69, what did we understand?
It's important to restrain the roaming senses to attain the acala-pratiṣṭhaṁ.
Yes. Because even one of the senses, if distracts the mind and the mind gets dragged into the contemplation, then it could pull the intelligence away. Before that, that's what we read. So, not even one sense, but in fact, all the senses needs to be controlled. And that is where Krishna gives a very authoritative answer that you have to control all the senses, right? Yes. And?
The difference between self-realized person and materialistic person in the next
In the next shloka, 70. Yeah, that is 16.
Their thinking, the lifestyle.
69, yeah. 60. Yes. So there were two kinds of people which were discussed in 69, which is flip side it is there, but there are two kinds of persons always. There will be materialistic and the spiritualistic, because you understood with the metaphor that as the person, materialistic person goes to sleep when spiritualist person gets up in that morning. So 3-4 people, a materialistic person goes to sleep, and 3-4 p.m. is where a spiritualist raises from the sleep and he starts doing his sadhana, and those persons go for sleep. So the technically also it's the same meaning, and also metaphorically we understood that the arena of activity which a materialistic person wants to do during the time when the nature is sleeping, and the nature of activities, the arena of activities which he wants to do when nature is awake, is altogether different for both these kinds of people. So you will always have these two kinds of people remaining in this world, who will seek materialistic pleasures and who will seek, the spiritualistic pleasures. Apart from that, anything else? Two types of people. We took also the example of Radhanath Swami Maharaj example also. Right? Sadhaka Bhakti. Yeah, that is where exactly we said, that is in 68 only. That is, how we have to control our senses, because that was the authoritative shlok which was given in 68. That you have a chance in this material body to get out of this ocean of nescience. भवसागर को पार करने की क्षमता इसी ह्यूमन शरीर में है. ये शरीर एक नाव है जिसके थ्रू भवसागर के थ्रू पार किया जा सकता है. और नाव का एग्जाम्पल सही है बिकॉज उसके पहले 67 ऑलरेडी कृष्णा took the example of the boat which is misled into the water by the strong winds, the strong wind of desires which is created by the passion. So it is very, very important that when Krishna was giving an answer, he said, you have to control. Otherwise, you are the killer of the soul, right? You become the killer of the soul. The soul, which has got this human form of body to cross over this bhavasagara, you are not allowing it to do so, and as such, you are killing the soul. And that is how we understood the importance of Uddharak Guru, right? We understood the importance of the Uddharak Guru. Because, and also took the reference of the Uddharenatmanatmanam, where your mind can become your friend or your mind could become your enemy. So, it becomes a deliverer of the soul, where your mind could become your deliverer of the soul. So make your mind the deliverer of the soul rather than killer of the soul. That is what the strong message which was conveyed by Krishna in 68 and 69. Two types of peoples were discussed accordingly. So we continue that discussion and come to today's shloka. So today's shloka, āpūryamāṇam acala-pratiṣṭhaṁ samudram praviśanti yadvat. Tadvat kāmām yam praviśanti sarve śāntim āpnoti na kāma-kāmī. So again, it's a long shlok. That's the reason the tune differs. I'll read the translation once in English for you all. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enters like rivers into the ocean, which is never being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. So very well-known verse of Bhagavad Gita, again drawing the metaphor from the nature. So as we were discussing, continuous the metaphors Krishna is using, when metaphors are used for what reason? Just to give out an example, very clear, vivid example. So rivers entering into the ocean is the metaphor which is being used by Krishna. And kim asit answer is being continued, right? So kim asit, kim vrajet kim, the answer is being continued. That's how a person, self-realized person, while acting in this world, can stay unagitated and unentangled. So Krishna is answering through the metaphor of how rivers enter into the ocean, but the ocean is not agitated. So āpūryamāṇam. Āpūryamāṇam refers, āpūryamāṇam means one which is being referred to as full. When which is filled. Āpūryamāṇam is full. Acala-pratiṣṭhaṁ. Acala-pratiṣṭhaṁ is being referred to the ocean. Āpūryamāṇam, the ocean which is filled with water. Acala-pratiṣṭhaṁ, despite being full, it never oversteps the boundaries. Samudra being achalam means, okay, it cannot walk, but that doesn't mean tide doesn't happen. It happens. But it never oversteps its boundaries. That is where it is being referred to as acala-pratiṣṭhaṁ. Okay, it never oversteps its boundaries. Of course, only when the storm comes, that is where the stormy event distracts the ocean and makes the ocean fall on the land through by way of tempest storms and all those. So, but in general, he is drawing a metaphor that so many rivers come into it and get filled, but still it does not overstep its boundaries. That is meaning of acala-pratiṣṭhaṁ. So non-movement. Samudra is, that is what? The ocean water. Praviśanti yadvat. Despite what? Praviśanti yadvat. As the river waters enters into it, despite that, the samudra is śāntam. Tadvat kāma yam praviśanti sarve. Similarly, kāma. What kind of kāma? All kinds of kāma. Sarve. All kinds of kāma. Praviśanti enters a person. Similarly, all kinds of kāma which enters into a person, but śāntim āpnoti na kāma-kāmī. śāntim āpnoti. That person attains peace who does not get distracted, and he never oversteps his boundaries. Never oversteps his boundaries. What a meaning is moral or spiritual boundaries, because we have been discussing on this moral and spiritual grounds only, how a person can walk around. So na kāma-kāmī. So he doesn't desire anything and he doesn't get agitated. So very profound phrase, na kāma-kāmī. So with slight variation of kāma-kāmī, it gives, like the meaning is being given as the desirer of the desire, the one who desires to, one who desires to fulfill the desires. So that's a meaning, a very profound phrase. We'll understand what does it exactly mean. So this ocean, because of its largeness and fullness, with so much of water, can stay unagitated despite the river water comes in. So this is the crux. So despite, we see 10 rivers almost entering into the ocean, Bay of Bengal and India itself we see. So, and or the entire Indian Ocean, because this Bay of Bengal, Arabian Sea and this entire Indian Ocean is a part of the entire Indian Ocean only. So if you consider the entire as one water body, the ocean never oversteps its boundaries. Whereas on other hand, if there is a huge rain and if there is a puddle or a small pond, okay, which has which is within the center of the city or somewhere, and when the rainwater from across the city through the canals or through the created channels of waters to outflow, when they fall into that puddle may overflow. The puddle may overflow, and in fact it would inundate the nearby area. कि flood आ गए, बिहार के भागों में तो स्पेशली ये फ्लड बहुत ही आते रहते हैं. क्यों? गंडक नदी कभी भी अपने उफान से ऊपर बहती है और पूरा जब देखो तब almost 50% of the villages coming within the vicinity of that particular place is all filled with water. People stay half in water only for almost many days. So that is the condition of the river, which inundates the entire area. So now in this shloka, the word especially Krishna is referring to is Shanti. The word specially is referring to is Shanti. So how it has to be understood in normal terms? Shanti means, okay, one way is misery free, right? So we understood that kind of thing also before. 3 types of miseries are there: Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik, Adi Adhyatmik. So, but is that Krishna referring to that kind of peace, misery free? No. Krishna is referring to transcendental peace. Krishna is referring to the transcendental peace, that is spiritual peace. 18.61 you open, because what he is referring in the end also, that is what he will refer here in the summary also. So 18.61, Krishna says, Tameva sharanam gaccha sarva bhavena bharatah tat prasadat param śāntim sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam. 18.61, read the translation.
Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart.
18.61, no? Or 62, sorry, 62.
Book sign of Bharat. Surrender unto him utterly. By his grace, you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and eternal abode.
You will attain the transcendental peace and the supreme abode, right? So he is referring to that Paramatma seated in everybody's heart. And we took the example of that also, right? That Paramatma is seated in everybody's heart, and this body is a machine, and this machine is being run by the Atma and Paramatma, right? So Paramatma is seated in everybody's heart. Hridde sherjana tishtati. So that is where in 61 only he says that. And also in 15:15, that is where he says sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto. So by his grace, you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme eternal abode. Okay, padam gacchanti anamayam, which we were all referring before. And similar this transcendental peace, Shanti, he also refers in 5.29, Bhoktaram Yagya Tapsam, which we have been discussing in the last 2-3 shlokas also. Like, it is coming in the purports every now and then that I am the Bhokta, I am to be served. So I should be served, being in the center where Krishna says, Bhoktaram Yagya Tapsam Sarva Lokamaheshwara, I am the Maheshwar, that is Mahan Ishwar of all the lokas. So this is where exactly is referring to that kind of peace. So if you all remember, what did Arjuna say? 2.5. What did Arjuna say? 2.5 and 2.8. 2.5 he said, Gurun hatva hi mahanubhavan Shreyon bhoktum bhaikshamapi haloke. What did he say there? Translation? It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of the great soul who are my teachers. That's what he said, right? Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted by the blood of the relatives, right? So that is where he said, I don't want to kill such guru and such mahanubhavas, because whatever enjoyment I will get, that will be tainted with the blood of them. And similarly in 2.8 also he says, Nahi prapashyami mamāpunutyan yachoka yachosha shanamindriyanam. Yes. What did he say there? What does he say there?
That
I am not
it doesn't matter कि मुझे क्या मुझे लेकिन क्या बोलते हैं ये इंद्रिया जो है जो शोषण मतलब ड्राई हो रही है
Yes.
उसका वो शांत नहीं हो सकती unless क्या बोलते हैं even if I get
Kingdom of the demigod, that is heaven. Even if I get heaven also, still I will not be able to enjoy this kind of thing. I cannot find the means to drive away this grief, which is drying up my senses. So, that, I don't see that, if I get the Rajyam of heaven, I will be happy. So Arjuna said to Krishna that even if I win the kingdom, fulfill my wind desire, okay, still I would not be happy, okay. So he is speaking from the angle of enjoying or reaping the benefits of winning the war, right? भोगों को भोगने की इच्छा से उसने ये सब कहा था. That I will not be able to reap all those benefits. That is what we call loss of enjoyments and all those what we discussed also, right? So how enjoying those benefits I would be at peace, Krishna? That is what Arjuna also asked. As that I would have obtained by my tainted blood of my relatives. So Krishna is answering that same point here from transcendental peace point of view. Saying that you don't have to enjoy those benefits. You don't have to enjoy those benefits of war. The war you're doing is to win, right? You don't have to enjoy those benefits of war. Rather, you receive those benefits as part of your contribution of your duty. You receive those benefits as part of the contribution of your duty. So the point here is you can receive, but you don't have to enjoy. भोगों को प्राप्त कर सकते हो, परंतु भोग नहीं सकते. The same concept was already explained. So that same concept is being explained by this metaphor of this samudra. Ramayana also we have the similar example. Of course we are reading Valmiki Ramayana, but Tulsikrit Ramayana has this shloka. जो संपत्ति शिव रावण ही दीनी दिए 10 माथ, सोई संपदा विभीषण ही सकुचि दीनी रघुनाथ. In Sundarkanda, this is a very important shloka which comes in, that before winning the war, when Vibhishan comes as a Sharanagata to Rama, Rama donates Lanka and he coronates Vibhishan as the king of Lanka. Sakuchi Dini Raghunath. Before winning the war also, he relinquished what he had. Okay. So he did not, and he still fought the war, not to enjoy that kingdom. Not to enjoy that kingdom, rather as a part of his moral duty. Rather to fulfill his moral duty. He did not enjoy the kingdom, rather relinquished in favor of the Vibhishan. So that was also the peace formula. That was also the peace formula displayed by Rama then. So Krishna today is also referring to that kind of transcendental peace. The metaphor meaning of the shloka where the ocean here refers to is our consciousness. The ocean here refers to our consciousness. The ocean is large and full with water. Okay, the ocean is large and full with water. So when our consciousness is also large and full, means within our consciousness we are holding upon to a larger reality. That is, we have a big purpose in our life and we are full with that purpose, or we are full with that fulfillment. That consciousness, that comes from living according to that big purpose. No, that consciousness would come by living according to that purpose. Then the desires that come into our consciousness, whenever we see any tempting objects, those desires will not distract us because that consciousness is already full with the higher purpose. We already have read that we need to have a higher purpose in life, right? We already have cleared that point. We need to have higher purpose in life, which is enriching. And then when we have that higher purpose of in our life, then this lower desires will not bother us. They will not trouble us. So when we are in this world and when we are observing tempting, attractive objects, those impressions of those objects will enter our consciousness through senses, right? Senses are the first thing, right? We have been discussing. So senses gets distracted, pulls the mind, and the intelligence also get pulled away, and that is how it gets abducted. So through the senses, these impressions of those objects enters our mind. We cannot move around closing our eyes, right? Because those impressions are coming when I see in the eye. We cannot move about closing our eyes. So these impressions are like those rivers which are flowing into the ocean. So all these temptations are like those rivers. So 10 rivers enters the ocean and ocean doesn't get disturbed. Our 5 senses, 5 jnanendriya, 5 karmendriyas also, sees so many impressions, either sees or feels or smells or anything. So many impressions. And those impressions should not disturb us. If we are living for a higher purpose, then that purpose fills us up like that ocean which is filled with water. And we will not get agitated by the entry of those tempting impressions. Now we all have this experience in our life, like the entry of temptations. For example, a student, he is studying for this and tomorrow he has an exam. And his friend comes with a pen drive. Nice. He says, I have downloaded a very nice recent movie. So let us enjoy the movie. Now the student who is worried of his exam tomorrow, he says, no. I have my final exam tomorrow. I will not be able to sit and watch movie with you. Please, you go right now. I don't want to get disturbed for my exam, right? Suppose the exam is 3 months afterwards and the same friend comes with that same pen drive, says, let's watch the movie. And he'll say, yeah, why not? What has changed? 3 months only has changed, right? 3 months have changed. That's it, right? Other way around, the exam was just tomorrow. Now it is 3 months down the line. So he's willing to watch the movie along with the friend. So now what has changed? The purpose, the urgency, the purpose. The urgency which was not there for specific time. That is, for tomorrow, the exam is not there in the case of 3 months thing. So and that is where, he enjoys those movie along with a friend. Suppose if that purpose is always filled in your consciousness, suppose you have a purpose which is always filled in your consciousness, we are always in that scenario, we will always be ready to say no to the lower things. So the same principle applies to the highest purpose also. So, okay, movie is the lowest purpose. Okay, it can apply to highest purposes of things in life also. Different things can fill our consciousness with. Okay, we can fill our consciousness by cultivating a sense of purpose which consumes our being into this world. That's what 69, which we were 68, 69, which we were speaking, that when Krishna spoke authoritatively, therefore you have to control your senses. So we have a purpose, and that purpose should pervade our consciousness. And that purpose should pervade our consciousness. But but remember that whatever consciousness we are cultivating, that should pervade our consciousness, but these purposes should be objective, ultimate truths, and they cannot be subjective. They have to be objective, ultimate truths, and cannot be subjectives. Subjective likes will not enrich us for long. For example, like that student or that who is giving his exam, or or in an office going person also. Okay, you get that when you see things which are not much exciting. For example, an office going by, he says, I want to become a CA. First in his study. He says, okay, he will become CA. I want to join a nice company. He will join a nice company. I want to grow up the corporate ladder. He will grow up to the corporate ladder, up, and and the purpose. And he keeps on fulfilling those purposes. And if he doesn't have an ultimate purpose, then all these purposes which he is meeting will become very short-lived, and he will keep chasing like a mirage in the desert. A person chasing a mirage in the desert. He will keep chasing, and he will never get delivered. So we can have material purpose in life, no doubt about it. As a CA, as a student aspires to become a CA, or a office guy aspires to grow up the corporate ladder, yes, we can do that. Okay, we can have all those desires, but we should see to it that they do not become the defining purpose of our life. The defining purpose of our life should be where all these desires which we are having can be subordinated or subjugated against that. That will be your fulfilling desire. That will fulfill you. You should have a desire where you should be able to connect all your material desires with also, and subjugate them towards that spiritual desire. When we understand, so how is that possible? So your ultimate purpose of desire should be spiritual. That's what we all know. We are all the spirit soul. We are all the spirit soul. So we are part of we are Atma, part and parcel of the Paramatma. So what we have to do? So all our duties and their aspirational fulfillment should be subordinated and integrated with that particular purpose, say service to Krishna. If I'm Atma, my work is to serve Paramatma, then it has to be subjugated to that Paramatma. So when our consciousness is filled with that defining purpose of wanting to serve Krishna, then our consciousness is truly filled at all particular time. So Krishna had talked about Yukta Asita Matpara, right? Yukta Asita Matpara, 61. Make me as the sense of your objects. So fix all your senses on me. And that is where the same principle which was given on Kim Asita, Kim Brajeta Kim also applies the same principles. When we are moving about, we don't have to move about because of this desire, because of that desire. We don't have to move about because of this desire. We have to do this desire, that desire, this desire. Our ultimate desire is to serve Krishna. And when service to Krishna becomes our defining, unifying, fulfilling purpose of our life, then whatever we do should get subordinated and integrated with our spiritual desire. And if it cannot be subjugated or integrated for any reason, then we should as well eliminate those desires from our life. That is the ultimate reality which Krishna wants to say by giving this kind of metaphor examples. When we work to serve Krishna, we get higher fulfillment. Our consciousness becomes like an ocean and we are no longer agitated by the lower desires because we understand these are not important, not relevant, for not fulfilling to me. Greater fulfillment I will get is by serving Krishna. So why should I fall to such trivial desires? We will see that whenever we do not cultivate or hold on to that sense of devotional purposefulness and let our consciousness become empty, then our consciousness would certainly be like that of the puddle or the pond, where slightest of the desire will come and you will get agitated, and sometimes you will fall to those desires, losing your mind and intelligence. So we need to keep that purpose strong. We need to keep that purpose very strong in our life, in our consciousness, so that it fills our consciousness just as the ocean is filled with water every time. So any number of water coming and falling into that ocean, the ocean never oversteps its boundaries. And when we come to that stage, that is where that kāma-kāmī, one who is not the desire of the desires, which means external to the internal sense objects may come in kāma-kāmī. Okay, desire and the desire. So kāma refers to the desire coming from outside to inside. Kāma refers of desires coming from outside to inside. How kāma? You have contemplated on an object and that is where you develop attachment, and that attachment leads to lust, kāma, right? Continuous. So that is something which is coming, the impressions from outside to inside. But kāmī refers to desire going from inside to the outside. व्यक्ति को काम जब सताता है तो कामी नहीं बन जाना है उसे. So that does not happen. Na kāma-kāmī. Outside to inside desires may come because these are the objects that look desirable. But when I have the higher, more desirable purpose in my life, and when I hold to that particular purpose, then the entry of that kāma from outside to inside will not create a reciprocal desire from inside to outside. And it will not make me a kāmī. When I don't become a kāma-kāmī, then I don't start desiring anything and everything. I see, but just stay fixed in my purpose, then the purposefulness will fill me internally with complete satisfaction. You are with me? So Srila Prabhupada says this kāma-kāmī, which when he says, when he defines, because when we read the translation, he says everything Krishna conscious person is all, like he doesn't want to desire anything. Why he doesn't want to desire? Because we have been reading all these things, and that is how Srila Prabhupada understands that, I've been explaining that you become a, Krishna conscious person. So he gives a purport, particularly example, giving it out based on the Krishna conscious person. And that is where sometimes people go boggle. They say, what is it Prabhupada talking about? Here it is talking about something peace, where Prabhupada should be, and Prabhupada speaks about the peace. That's it. Krishna conscious person is always peaceful, whatever comes the way. So kāma-kāmī, he says, can be understood in three ways: Bhukti-kāmī, Mukta-kāmī, and Siddha-kāmī. So he gives, very nicely, he says, sometimes people may not agree to it. But whatever he says is based on Shastras, so whatever, there's a shloka which comes, Krishna Bhakta Nishakama Ata Eva Shanta Bhukti Mukti Siddha Kami Sakala Ashanta. So, because a devotee of Lord Krishna is desireless, he is peaceful. So he says, fruitive workers means one who is desiring results of his work. That is person is called fruitive worker. सकाम कर्म जब करता है कि मुझे काम की इच्छा से मैं ये कर्म कर रहा हूं, सकाम कर्म, that fruitive worker, he wants to desire material enjoyment. So his consciousness is always to fulfill that material enjoyment, and that is where he is ashant. Jnani, he is always desiring of liberation. Bhukti, mukti, siddha, kāmi. So Jnani is always desiring liberation into the Brahma. And yogis desire opulences, siddhis. Yogis want to desire opulences, the siddhis. Therefore, all these forms part of the lust and they are not peaceful. And that is what Srila Prabhupada says, but a person who is satisfied with higher purpose, which is ultimately a devotional purpose in life, such a person can attain śāntim āpnoti. Such a person can attain peace, O Arjuna. So this is very essential way Krishna is telling Arjuna that you can attain peace by managing your desires, by fulfilling yourself internally like an ocean. So he did not say here that you don't have to have desires. He said, you should be in a position that your desire should be ultimate, the spiritual desire, and all your desires should be able to ultimately culminate or unite with that particular desire. And if for any reason, if it is not being united with that ultimate desire, then it is as well that you eliminate those desires in your life. They are not going to help you out. Try to find a source through how which you can eliminate those. So that's why he says, steady like an ocean, because he remains satisfied in transcendental loving service. He doesn't, Srila Prabhupada writes in the translation, he doesn't desire any salvation also. Why? Because he knows wherever he has to go, he has to serve the Lord. Jivere Swarupa Krishna Nityadas. If I have to serve Krishna here, okay, tomorrow I die, I go to some other world, say Patala Loka or say Naraka Loka or Swarga Loka. My desire should be to only serve Krishna even there or wherever I am. So it is Krishna's wish wherever he wants to send me, either Naraka Loka or Swarga Loka or to his Loka. My ultimate purpose should be to serve him. To serve him. And in this way, he gives that, sometimes like, Siddha Kāmi, Mukta Kāmi and the Bhukti Kāmi, they are always wanting to fulfill their desires, which is sometimes will disturb you. And you will not be able to have peace. We'll have to continue with 71, then you will understand this peace formula continuously because it's a continuation. 71 also is a continuation and the peace formula continues because Brajeta Kim, the transcendental peace, that still continues. So we'll take up that also. And yeah, Bol.
The ocean, our consciousness should hold that larger purpose and live for. So is it already in that consciousness and we are not able to see it because of the desire, or we are trying to go towards that consciousness and we're being blocked by the desire? So is it already full and we're not seeing it, or is it empty and we're prevented from feeling it?
Yeah, very good answer. Very good question, Prabhu. Whether our that particular the desire to serve Krishna, I'll put it rightly. That is, the desire to serve spiritually is already there within us, or it is empty, or it is being blocked by the desires which are getting created by the senses, okay, which draws the impression.
What is the starting point? Is the tank full है, tank empty है?
हाँ इसलिए मैं बोला था 71 भी मैं इसी साथ में लूंगा तो मेरे को आपको एक्सप्लेन करना इजी रहेगा. So you want to answer this and I will answer. Yeah, it's correct, exactly, valid point, Prabhu. Because see, it's a very important, that desire is created of what? I don't know, all those things, like, by the impressions. So how a repeated desire comes in and all those. So one important thing is that, that is where you have to be transcendental. When I say you have to ultimately understand that, you are a spirit soul. And when you are a spirit soul, your ultimate purpose is only one. Like if you are a person lost in the mela from your father, then you will never be happy unless somebody knows your father and he unites you with your father. So that particular purpose only would make him happy and peaceful. Other way around, you keep giving him chocolate, giving him ice cream, giving him anything, he will never be happy. Okay, to that certain extent, he may feel happy eating chocolate, but again he will remember his father. So that purpose is dormant, is there in our heart, but it in a dormant stage. We have to rekindle that so that the spiritual spark is unleashed. And that should be the defining purpose also of in your life. Because so like simple, no? I know, okay, I'm a spirit soul. As a spirit soul, what is my duty? I have to, I've lost from my spiritual identity. I have to regain that. Okay, after regaining your spiritual identity, you come to know I'm this part and parcel of Krishna. I have to serve Krishna. Then you have to achieve ways and means to serve that, and ultimately go and get united with him. So that is the ultimate. That's why they say, Jivara Swarup Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. Baki Bheda Bhed Prakash. So that's why that particular purpose, defining purpose, when we say every time, it doesn't sometimes make any sense. But when we go through the principles mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, we understand that. So it has to be rekindled, and all this rekindled, that is where exactly man, buddhi, ahankar, and that is where that ahankar will also come now in the 71, this thing. When that is kindled, and the purification starts, mat prasad adhigacchati. So when that prasad starts coming in, automatically this desire start becoming your purified. So that prasad comes in form of purification, and these three stages purified, then the soul is automatic pure only. So we have to rekindle that, this man, buddhi, ahankar gets purified, the soul is automatic pure, and when these three gets purified, then you will be able to exactly see who you are and what is your desire, particular purpose, and then you try to achieve that. So 71 also will take, you will just very easily understand. That's also a small shloka. Vihāya kāmān sarvān.
vihāya kāmān
pumāṁś carati niḥspṛhaḥ. nirmamo nirahaṅkāraḥ. śāntim adhigacchati. vihāya kāmānya sarvān. pumāṁś carati niḥspṛhaḥ. nirmamo nirahaṅkāraḥ. śāntim adhigacchati. Mataji and Prabhuji can take. vihāya kāmānya sarvān. pumāṁś carati niḥspṛhaḥ. nirmamo nirahaṅkāraḥ. śāntim adhigacchati. Hare Krishna. So, vihāya, meaning, word to word meaning like that. vihāya, छोड़कर, kāmān, इंद्रिय तृप्ति की भौतिक इच्छाएं, यह जो सर्वान, समस्त, पumāṁ, पुरुष, carati, रहता है, निःस्पृह, इच्छा रहित, nirmamo, ममता रहित, nirahaṅkāraḥ, ahaṅkār शून्य, स वह शांतिम पूर्ण शांति को adhigacchati प्राप्त होता है। अनुवाद तात्पर्य इसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जिस व्यक्ति ने इंद्रिय तृप्ति की समस्त इच्छाओं का परित्याग कर दिया है, जो इच्छाओं से रहित रहता है, और जिसने सारी ममता त्याग दी है तथा अहंकार से रहित है, वही वास्तविक शांति प्राप्त कर सकता है। ट्रांसलेशन पढ़िए।
तात्पर्य, निष्प्रह होने का अर्थ है इंद्रिय तृप्ति के लिए कुछ भी इच्छा ना करना। दूसरे शब्दों में कृष्ण भावना भावित होने की इच्छा वास्तव में इच्छा शून्यता या निष्प्रतः है। इस शरीर को मिथ्या ही आत्मा माने बिना तथा संसार की किसी वस्तु में कल्पित स्वामित्व रखे बिना श्री कृष्ण के नित्य दास के रूप में अपनी यथार्थ स्थिति को जान लेना कृष्ण भावनामृत की सिद्ध अवस्था है। जो इस सिद्ध अवस्था में स्थित है वह जानता है कि श्री कृष्ण ही प्रत्येक वस्तु के स्वामी हैं, अतः प्रत्येक वस्तु का उपयोग उनकी तुष्टि के लिए किया जाना चाहिए। अर्जुन आत्म तुष्टि के लिए युद्ध नहीं करना चाहता था, किंतु जब वह पूर्ण रूप से कृष्ण भावना भावित हो गया तो उसने युद्ध किया, क्योंकि कृष्ण चाहते थे कि वह युद्ध करे। उसे अपने लिए युद्ध करने की कोई इच्छा न थी, किंतु वही अर्जुन कृष्ण के लिए अपनी शक्ति भर लड़ा। वास्तविक इच्छा शून्यता कृष्ण तुष्टि के लिए इच्छा है। यह इच्छाओं को नष्ट करने का कोई कृत्रिम प्रयास नहीं है। जीव कभी भी इच्छा शून्य या इंद्रिय शून्य नहीं हो सकता, किंतु उसे अपनी इच्छाओं की गुणवत्ता बदलनी होती है। भौतिक दृष्टि से इच्छा शून्य व्यक्ति जानता है कि प्रत्येक वस्तु कृष्ण की है, ईशावास्यम इदम सर्वम, अतः वह किसी वस्तु पर अपना स्वामित्व घोषित नहीं करता। यह दिव्य ज्ञान आत्म साक्षात्कार पर आधारित है, अर्थात इस ज्ञान पर कि प्रत्येक जीव कृष्ण का अंश स्वरूप है और जीव की शाश्वत स्थिति कभी ना तो कृष्ण के तुल्य होती है ना उनसे बढ़कर। इस प्रकार कृष्ण भावनामृत का यह ज्ञान ही वास्तविक शांति का मूल सिद्धांत है।
हरिओम तत्सत। So, like a person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship and is devoid of false ego, he alone can attain peace. Vihāya kāmān. Vihāya kāmān means giving up. Vihāya, giving up all the material desires, all selfish desires. Pumāṁś carati niḥspṛhaḥ. Pumān means a person. So vihāya kāmān is giving up all the material desires. Pumān is a person. Carati, moves about. Lives, where Srila Prabhupada translates, moves about. Niḥspṛhaḥ. Niḥspṛhaḥ is without any attachment to desires. Nirmamo, without the sense of proprietorship. Mamta rahit, likha na? Nirmamo, without the sense of proprietorship. Nirahaṅkāraḥ, without the false ego. Anahaṅkār nahi hai, nirahaṅkār. śāntim adhigacchati, such a person attains peace. So that peace formula is still continuing. So last shloka, Krishna described the method of attaining peace internally, giving the metaphor of an ocean. Right? Ocean was described as achala because it doesn't overstep its boundaries. So non-movement. So it was based on the non-movement. A person can attain peace internally at times without any movement. Right? Okay, your dhyana, and sometimes you can attain peaceful at particular without any movement. But what was Arjuna's prashna? Vrajeta kim. That how he moves about controlling his senses. Okay, one can stay calm and like an ocean without any movement. He may allow his desires to come in, but he may not outflow the desires, and that is, so he can be that particular thing. But Arjuna has asked Vrajetakim that how he moves about controlling this desire. So the peace formula continues. The Vrajetakim also answers continues, and the peace formula is continued. And Krishna is speaking about that moving aspect now. So he spoke about acala-pratiṣṭhaṁ last time, and then he is talking about the moving aspect. So essentially telling Arjuna how he can have peace. Śāntim adhigacchati. He says, Arjuna, that you will never attain peace simply by avoiding the war. Peace is more in inner state than outer state. Okay, you all agree this? When we try to get peaceful surroundings, when we are agitated, that may be good. But sometimes the surroundings could be peaceful, but we may not be peaceful because we are internally disturbed by the desires. Those desires which are agitating us. So the way to peace is not by relocating your desires. So the peace is not in something which is we call it as relocation, but the peace something which is in the renunciation. Peace which is in renunciation. So relocation you all know, right? Relocation you all know. I am working in this particular office. There's a lot of politics here. So I would like to just relocate to some other new place, right? So I search for a new job, and that is relocation. You're relocating yourself. So moving from one place to another. So relocation is what many people, let me have a fresh beginning there. So maybe, things may not be political there. We try to have some kind of relocation. Okay. Relocation is what people think is a way ahead. Now, in some cases, relocation is required. But that is only the beginning of that solution. That is only the beginning of that solution. It is not the solution to that problem. Okay. It is just the beginning of the solution, but not the solution itself. Often, as long as we are attached to things working a particular way, the world is not going to work or respond in that particular way. The world often works contrary to what our will, would like to work. Our aspirations, our responsibility, but still we have to recognize the reality that sometimes things will not go our way and people will not behave the way we want or they should as per our expectations. And sometimes when we understand that, sometimes we say, okay, we may have to live with it. We are not going to change them. So renunciation, that is where it comes in. Oh, I have to be with it. So renunciation refers to not just giving up everything and becoming a renunciate, but cultivating a healthy emotional distance from things that are altogether not so important, so that we can stay focused on what is actually important. So that we can stay focused on what is actually important. So here Krishna is telling Arjuna, may seem be entirely impracticable today. Specifically for a person who is engaged as a warrior. And for a warrior, Krishna is telling Arjuna today, vihāya kāmān sarvān. Give up all kinds of your material desires. How a warrior can just give up the desire of, fighting the war. How can he be free from desire? Because he is a warrior, because he has to fight the war. He does not stop there. Krishna goes ahead and says, pumāṁś carati niḥspṛhaḥ. A person should say desireless and have no attachments also. For a warrior again, he has to have attachment, right? He has to have an attachment. Attachment is something which is very deeper and which would create repeatedly, which would get created with repeated desires. Attachment would get created with the repeated desires. What we are attracted to, we desire again and again. Right? What we are attracted to, we may desire again and again. On the other hand, this desire is one thing which may come occasionally when we see or pursue things. Desire may come when we pursue something or when we see something. So desire can be occasional, but attachment leads to habitual desires of that same kind. And that is what brain mapping we understood. Right? The brain mapping we understood, right? Those impressions have those default programs, like computer has default programs. Brain also has some defaulted desires inbuilt within your system. The moment you see that, they get activated. You don't have to do anything. When you start the computer, default programs pops up automatically. Similarly, when you see something, those desires will automatically pop up. And Krishna is asking to be desireless also. First of all, vihāya kāmān, and then pumāṁś carati niḥspṛhaḥ. Carati is something basically, last shloka was achala, and here it is carati, that is moving about. Chara means what, chara is moving about. Chara we say, char matlab जो चलता है ना, कुछ ग्रहचार होते हैं, कुछ स्थिर होते हैं ना, तो चरा. We have a word called guptachara, meaning what? Secret service agents, right? Spies, secret service agents. They don't sit at one place, right? Guptachara, they have to go across and find the. Hanumanji is a very nice Guptachar, right? Hanumanji managed to enter Lanka as a Guptachar only, right? He entered Lanka as a Guptachar. And what desire did he have?
Serve the Lord.
Serve the Lord, yeah. Desire was to find Sita Mata and pass the message to the Lord. It was his work that, find Sita. So, he did not have desire of his own to enter Lanka. Desire was there, of the Lord only. He had fulfilled that desire by taking that desire as the service. He entered Lanka, he found out Sita Mata, and then he went and again gave the message that she is there, and this is the Chudamani which I brought. So with the proof, I am submitting you. So Guptachar, the secret service agent, he acted upon the instructions of the Lord to solve the problem. But he did not sit idle. He did not act for his desire. Acted on the desire of the Lord to fulfill his desire. He did not sit idle also. Okay? As samudra was shant, like he did not sit shant also. He in fact burnt the entire Lanka and came back. So, he burnt the entire Lanka and came back. So, that is what carati. So, pumāṁś carati niḥspṛhaḥ. So, niḥspṛhaḥ is desireless. Spruha is desires. Spruha has two meanings. One which is attachment, or we call it as desires, and one which is disattachment, which we call as envy or dvesh. We call it as. So attachment and raga, dvesha, vimukteshtu, we already understood this. Attachment and disattachment. Just 3-4 shlokas before. So, which means a person who has no attachments or desire, and a person does not envy. Why is Krishna saying this? Whom do we have to envy? Whom do we have to envy? You have any envy with anybody? With Krishna? Bhoktaram yagya tapasam. He is being saying that, Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. So, he is the bhokta, he says, and we are all upabhokta. So what do we envy with? He says very upfrontly that I am the bhokta. So what are you going to do envy? He is the only bhokta. I should also become bhokta. You want to envy that? It's not easy. Open 7.27. I think so. Prabhu was also referring to this. Ichha dvesha samuttena dvandva mohena bharataha सर्वभूतानि सम्मोहम सर्गे यान्ति परम तप। आपने जब बोला था तभी मैंने बोला इसको लूंगा मैं। यही होता है कभी कभी, एक भक्त से सुनते हैं तो दूसरा काम याद आ जाता है। 7.27. या इसका मीन, इसका ट्रांसलेशन पढ़ो।
O son of Bharata, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arising from desire and hate.
So we are born with this duality of desire and hate. That is also why, one of the reasons why we are here in this material world. We wanted to enjoy, like Krishna. So, yes. So that is where we have been sent into this material world. That okay, you enjoy. I have created a place for you. You go and enjoy there and fulfill. But you do not forget that you are part and parcel of me. You will fulfill all your enjoyment and you can come back to me. So we have been born with the dualities that we are always in delusion, that we are the bhokta. That's a delusion. Okay, you understand now what is delusion. And then nirmamo, nirahaṅkāraḥ. These are again two more words which Krishna says. One has to be nirmamo and nirahaṅkāraḥ. He should have no sense of proprietorship. Nothing belongs to me, like that. Like cashier, he does counting of millions of notes daily. He doesn't think that these all belong to me. Is nirmamo. He knows it belongs to the bank, belongs to various customers. It does not belong to me. So without proprietorship. And how it is possible? Only if you understand 5.29, Bhoktaram Yagyatapsam, which was very, very important. And that's why there's 2-3 shlokas that 5.29 reference is always being coming. I am not the proprietor. So what are you going to desire? Nirmamo, nirahaṅkāraḥ, nirahaṅkāraḥ. Ahankara is the last subtle body element. Okay, we say 5 gross elements and 3 subtle elements makes this material body. So apart from bhumi, rapo, nalo, vayu, so kam, manor, buddhir, evacha. So the ahankara itiyame binna prakriti-rashtada. So this is where the 8 elements which make up the body. So ahankara is the last subtle element of this material body. And nirahaṅkāraḥ refers to the condition where you have ahankar, but you have to forget that. It doesn't say anahaṅkār, that you will not have ahankar. No, you will always have an ahankar. And what is that ahankar? That I am the servant of Krishna. So become nirahaṅkāraḥ. That is, your ahankar is capable of, you have a capability of forgetting, oh, I am actually thinking to be the bhokta. I am having that ahankar, but actually it is not me, the bhokta. That becomes nirahaṅkāraḥ. I am the upabhokta. So ni dhatu is used in Sanskrit to not to say no, but a situation which is capable of being no. Right? Drushya, if you have to disregard, we say adrushya. Nirdrushya will never say. So ahankar, that is there. But you are capable of bringing down that ahankar. Capability of bringing down ahankar to the lower level. That is nirahaṅkāraḥ. Now as a kshatriya has a kingdom, and kshatriya is also meant to have some sense of honor. Krishna himself said to Arjuna right before that as a kshatriya, dishonor will be like death to you. Sambhavitasya chakirtir maranādirati uchyate. If you lose your honor, it is as good as you are dead. Right? 2.34. Krishna uses this. So here What is that meaning of that nirahaṅkāraḥ then? The word ahankara or ego is arrogance, has multiple meanings. One in conversational sense and one in philosophical sense. Conversational sense is something, ego, which refers to some people think, oh, I am right, I am superior to others. It gives a right that, everybody else is wrong. I am the only person which is correct. That is actually a misconception. It's an attitude of alienating others where people feel are minimized or marginalized, suppressed. This conversational ego, we sometimes say, this person has too much of ego. So there is a conversational ego. Whereas in philosophical sense, ego refers to misidentification of the soul with the body. Ahankara, Krishna is using ahankara more in philosophical sense than conversational sense. Though you can say, no, maybe Krishna wants to say, I am the owner, you are nothing in front of me. You can say that, right? How many of you would agree that, no, it is said in conversational sense? Arjuna, don't think that you know better than me. Krishna wants to say, maybe somebody can say, right? You say yes or no? Agree or no? Disagree? I'm talking to somebody. Maybe, right? So yeah, that's what Prabhu at least is willing to add. Yeah, maybe that, Krishna is telling, don't think I know much better than you. So I don't think that, you know better than me. That's what Krishna said. But you have to understand in 2.7, what did Arjuna say? 7. Karpanya dosho vahata subhava pritchami tvam dharma sammudha cheta yachreya nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyaste hamshadi mam tvam prapannam. What did he say? Yes. Yes.
Of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me.
Yes. So
now I am your disciple and a soul surrender
unto you.
Please.
So Krishna, now Arjuna, cannot say that, oh, Krishna is not talking in this normal sense, the conversational sense, because Arjuna had already agreed that, I am confused what is correct and what is wrong. Therefore, please, Krishna, you know better than me, so please guide me. I have become your disciple. So that is where Krishna is speaking on philosophical sense, from the Atma and body point of view. Okay? Because that is already ruled out there itself only. That he says, I don't know what is good and what is bad. So it is you who knows better than me. You become my guru and I become your disciple now onwards. Please guide me what is Shreya, what is best for me. So that point is ruled out, and that is where Krishna is speaking in terms of philosophical sense. So, nirmamo nirahaṅkāraḥ. Arjuna, do not identify yourself with the body, because when we identify ourselves with the body, we seek peace at the bodily level. That's very clear-cut answer. Material level. And when I don't identify myself with the body and seek peace, then that peace will not be at bodily level, rather it will be for the spiritual level, because that is the fulfillment which is to be blocked within your consciousness. So misidentification is what don't. Like, what is misidentification? A person absorbed in cricket, winning to losing situation, he gets disturbed, agitated. Whereas a person who is not at all interested in cricket, it doesn't matter whether who is losing or match is losing or going. It doesn't matter for him. So if somebody is not emotionally attached to cricket, and whatever happens on the ground, he will not be worried at all only. Okay, but attachment will not be there.
You have to go through the process.
Yeah, that's where Krishna is telling Arjuna, act in knowledge of your spiritual identity. This is a game. Either one person will win or lose. Don't be attached to your one party. Both are players.
टीवी तो बिल्कुल मत खोलें.
When you act with this knowledge of your spiritual identity, you will not be agitated and you will not be lost, and you will always stay peaceful even amidst of war. War is not a achalam activity. It is a carati activity. You have to move about fighting. Even in that moving about, you will be peaceful. That is where this nirmamo element comes in, Then this prakriti, 8 elements body is made up of. This body is given by these 8 elements of this prakriti, which itself also is one of the strong energy. Krishna says, this prakriti has given you this 8 elements, and then you say, I am having ahankar, that I am this body. First of all, these elements are given. First of all, this body doesn't belong to you. It belongs to those 8 elements, and that is how it is returned back to those 8 elements. So where this thing will come in, that nirmamo, bina mamta rahit. पहले बात तो छोड़ दो, ये शरीर तुम्हारा है ही नहीं, ममता रहित छोड़ दो उसको. You are not the proprietor of this body. The Prakriti is the proprietor of this body. 8 elements. And you think, oh, I am enjoying the senses. Senses are being enjoyed because of Rishikesha and not because of you. One of the senses getting attacked by Krishna, this thing, you will not be able to enjoy anything. So, as the senses are also Rishikesha, Krishna is the ultimate enjoyer. So, what kind of ego are you having then? When this body doesn't belong to you, when the senses do not belong to you, what kind of ego are you having then? So, that is where we say false ego, when one identifies himself with the material body. Actual ego is, I am part and parcel of Krishna. I have to serve Krishna. This ahankar is the right ahankar. I am a body, I have to enjoy with this body. This is the false ego. That is where every time we refer to false ego has to go. This is the last element in this material world. The last, out of the 8 elements, the last element is false ego. That also has to go. So that also has to become nirahaṅkāraḥ. Otherwise, that false ego will stop you, and you will again fall down. And how is that possible? False ego, how can it be purified? Sharanagati, yes. Sharanagati of a guru. Or serving the Vaishnavas, when we have Maharaj and all those, serving the Vaishnavas. Your false ego can be purified. Unless you take Sharanagati, then you will not be able to serve, right? Sharanagati means what? Falling onto the feet of the Guru. So, ya Vaishnava ko serve karna. If you are not able to serve, then this false ego will not get. You can take care by mantra, you can control your mind, you can be peaceful at mind internally, you can look inside, everything is fine. Intelligence, you will read Shastras, you will become perfect, dissect the perfect knowledge, all fine, your intelligence will get purified. Okay, you will be able to have the, properly correlate. But the false ego, how will that get purified? Unless you have surrendered, unless you serve a Vaishnava, this false ego is not going to get purified.
विवेक से हो सकता है.
हाँ,
विवेक से भी हो सकता है.
विवेक बुद्धि है ना, बुद्धि का ही कारक है.
अहंकार क्या है? आपका मैं बॉडी हूँ.
हाँ.
विवेक है मेरे. विवेक क्या करता है? डिस्क्रिमिनेट करता है कि what is real, what
Yeah,
is
that's what you are using the intelligence.
उससे आपका अहंकार दूर होगा ना.
हाँ, अहंकार नहीं, अहंकार दूर हो गया तो अच्छी बात है प्रभु. अहंकार अच्छा दूर है,
सर्वे
परंतु
से-
अहंकार वही मैं जब जाता है, जब आप किसी के चरणों पे गिरते हैं, तभी बड़ों से आशीर्वाद जब लिया जाता है, तब उसी मैं का ही खत्म किया जाता है.
लेकिन आप मेरे ख्याल से विवेक से भी हो जाएगा.
So that is one of the way प्रभु. इसीलिए these 3 things we don't avoid, we don't say no. आपको मन, बुद्धि, अहंकार, इसीलिए इनकी चेतना के शुद्ध करना जरूरी होती है. तो सबसे बेस्ट तरीका है अहंकार को शुद्ध करने का, इसीलिए गुरु की बात आती है. अब आप विवेक से बोल रहे हो तो दैट इज वेयर एग्जैक्टली ज्ञान कम्स इन. ओके, ज्ञानी भी ज्ञान के सिलसिले में अशांत ही रहता है. अभी एक श्लोक पहले मैंने बताया था. ओके, दैट्स व्हाट आई सेड. पीपल मे नॉट एग्री, बट इसीलिए प्रभुपाद डजंट से इट आउटराइटली. ही विल टेक द शास्त्रास एग्जांपल एंड गिव यू दैट कि क्यों मुक्त कामी मुक्त कामी एंड ऑल दोस व्हाई दे आर अशांत. नहीं इसको प्रभु जो
कौन से रेफरेंस दे, आगे पीछे श्लोक बताएं. क्या कॉन्टेक्ट में बात हुई थी, सिर्फ एक श्लोक उठा के नहीं करते.
नहीं
अगर
हाँ,
अगर योगी अगर शांति नहीं पाता तो वो क्यों तप कर रहा है?
क्या
ठीक है, अगर
सिद्धि हासिल करने के लिए.
सिद्धि नहीं है, ये योगी का नहीं है. जो सिद्धि इज द लोअर स्टेट ऑफ समाधि. समाधि का जो स्टेटस में प्योर, भाई बुद्धा एग्जांपल है आपके पास.
उस पे भी आएंगे अगले हफ्ते 72 में हम डिस्कस कर लेंगे. बुद्धा भी हम डिस्कस कर लेंगे, चिंता मत करो प्रभु. हाँ, मिस्टिक योगी, या मिस्टिक योगी लिखा है, इसीलिए हम भक्त योगी बोल रहे हैं ना. आखिरी में भक्त योगी बनो इसलिए बोल रहे हैं. मिस्टिक योगी है, मिस्टिक नहीं. योगी में योगी 3 प्रकार है प्रभु, इसीलिए योगी नाम अपनी सर्वेशाम में आएंगे अपन. डोंट वरी अबाउट इट. इसलिए भक्त योगी का कृष्ण बात करते हैं.
शांति बहुत तरीके से भाई है, मेरा मतलब मानना है एक रीजन नहीं हो सकता कि एक ही बात तो सिर्फ शांति का. शांति के बहुत से तरीके.
हम तो तीनों तरीके बता रहे हैं आपको.
आप तो
मन भी, बुद्धि और अहंकार तीनों तरीके से बता रहे हैं.
बुद्धि से ज्ञान हासिल होता, आप कह रहे हैं ज्ञान नहीं. तभी थोड़ी देर पहले आपने कहा कि वो भी परेशान रहता है.
हाँ,
ठीक हो गया ना यहाँ पे बात.
ना परेशान रहता है, नो डाउट. ओके, बट देन आपका विवेक इतना स्ट्रांग है तो यूके, दैट इज वेयर आई सेड तो ही तो है ना प्रॉब्लम. तभी तो है ना, तभी तो है सब. उसके बाद भी क्या हो जाएगा कि वो मैं पना कभी कभी नहीं जाएगा. मैं पना कभी कभी नहीं जाएगा. हाँ, तो बस उसी के लिए ये मैं पना जाने के लिए निराहंकार की बात आती है. तभी वेयर दी शास्त्र गिव्स यू, इट्स नॉट मी, आई एम गिविंग यू द सॉल्यूशन, दैट शास्त्र गिव्स यू द सॉल्यूशन. वैष्णव सेवा. तभी जब अपने पॉइंट रेज किया था ना कि इट्स लाइक कैन वी रीच टू द स्पिरिचुअल रेल्म विदाउट द हेल्प ऑफ द गुरु. आई सेड यू कुड, बट यू मे अगेन फॉल डाउन एट दिस लास्ट लेवल. या करता हम इति मन्यते. अहंकारी है जो बोलता है कि मैं कर रहा हूं.
कोई डाउट नहीं है.
तो इसीलिए जब हम वैष्णव को समर्पण करेंगे, देन वी विल हैव दिस चांस ऑफ क्रॉसिंग दैट, एंड दैट इज वेयर द गुरु थिंग इज आल्सो बिकम्स मच मोर इम्पोर्टेंट.
ये जो है कि सब इसको सरेंडर करते हैं तो एक चीज को करते
एक ही करते हैं.
आप ये नहीं करते हर वैष्णव को आप सरेंडर कर रहे हैं.
ना हर वैष्णव की सेवा करने से हमारा थोड़ा प्यूरिफिकेशन होता है. दैट्स इट. सरेंडर तो एक ही है, दीक्षा गुरु से होता है, वो एक ही है.
गुरु को सरेंडर करने से अहंकार ठीक है समझ आता है, वही ना. सेवा करने से अहंकार नहीं आता समझ.
नहीं प्रभु, दैट्स व्हाट मैं बोल रहा हूँ. सेवा कैसे करोगे? सेवा करने से अहंकार दूर क्यों नहीं होता है बताओ. जब आप किसी की सेवा कर रहे हो तो आप किसी को उच्च बता रहे हो. देयर इटसेल्फ यू आर शोइंग योरसेल्फ टू बी डाउन.
आप अपने आप को बता रहे हो कि मैं सेवा कर रहा हूँ.
हाँ, तो ठीक है, दैट इज गुड. दैट इज गुड ईगो.
ये भी तो
दैट इज गुड ईगो. दैट इज वेयर आई एम टेलिंग, दैट इज वेयर यू कैन हैव डिजायर्स, बट दैट डिजायर्स हैज टू बी.
ये भी बड़ा अहंकार है. आप कहते हो ये भी बड़ा अहंकार कि मैं पूजा कर रहा हूँ. That's the biggest अहंकार.
That is where now the last point comes in. We are not saying no to desires. We are not saying no to desires. 7th chapter का फर्स्ट श्लोक ओपन करो. 7th chapter का फर्स्ट श्लोक ओपन करो. फर्स्ट श्लोक. मय्या सक्त मना पार्था योगम युंजन मदाश्रया. So just read the translation, Prabhu.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, now hear, O son of Adam, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt.
So, 7th chapter, attached to me. वही तो, इसीलिए तो
मैं यही तो कह रहा हूँ कि भगवान को सरेंडर करने से समझ आता है कि अहंकार दूर होता है.
यस, एग्जैक्टली.
वैष्णव सेवा करने से कैसे हो रहा है ये समझ नहीं आ रहा.
तो भगवान वैष्णव कौन है? वैष्णव इन द सेंस ऐसा कि कौन है वैष्णव? सन्यासी और दोस्त कौन है? कृष्ण से जो कृष्ण बोल रहे हैं वही चीज बताएंगे. वो अपने मन से नहीं करेंगे. हमारी खुद की सेवा करने के लिए वो नहीं लेंगे. उनको देख के भी आपको कृष्ण याद आने चाहिए. हाँ, तो है ना प्रभु, क्यों नहीं होता है? यही तो मैं बोल रहा हूँ ना, अल्टीमेटली यही तो बात होती है. तो ये मैया सक्त मना पार्था आपको मिलते, द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ स्पिरिचुअल डिजायर्स विल बी वेरी मच विविड इन द 7th chapter गोइंग फॉरवर्ड. So that is where you can have your desires, have spiritual desires, and dovetail you should be in a position to correlate all your desires with that one spiritual desire, which is already existing within you. You have to just rekindle by activating all these 3 points, man, buddhi and ahankar. Once you activate this, automatically purification starts in and you attain peace completely. That's why Krishna, Srila Prabhupada has written that Ishavasam idam sarvam yatkinchit jagatyam jagat ka example. That everything animate and inanimate, whatever you see within this universe, which is controlled by the Lord, one should therefore accept, He has given you so many things. Accept only those things which are given to you as a quota. Don't barge into other person's things. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota. And one should not accept other things, knowing very well to whom they belong. If you adopt this principle, all qualities mentioned in this Vrajeta Kim are possible. That एक थैला चावल यदि गिर गया है, चिड़िया आएगी अपना दाना चुग के जाएगी, कबूतर आएगा अपना दाना चुग के जाएगा. इंसान है जो अहंकार पूरा थैला उठा के घर ले जा सकता है. He has to get out of that sitting that this is not belonging to me. I can take, okay, I don't have today rice, I will take 1 kilo rice for today, that's it, and leave the rest there. That kind of principle has to come in. So that is where it is not the platform of actual desirelessness. That is where that bhakti comes in. Bhakti yoga. That is where the bhakti yoga comes in, which will make you free from false ego, the sense of proprietorship. And that is where you can attain the real peace. So karma yoga we'll discuss in detail. Jnana yoga we'll discuss in detail. And then only we'll go to bhakti yoga, don't worry. Jnana yoga will be discussed later on. But this is where the sequence, and that is where why bhakti was placed supreme. I wanted to put that. So we never want you to be desirelessness. We want you to have desires. Your supreme desire should be always filled up within your consciousness. And when you fill up your consciousness with that desire, all your desires can be subjugated to that particular desire. If you are not able to subjugate for any reason, it is as good to eliminate those desires from our life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.